Hey guys, Jasomus. Welcome back. Today I'm going to do my first reaction video. Today I'm going to be reacting to the pit for one spine. Maybe back on. So, yeah. The link will be searchable. So yeah, thanks for watching. Just kidding. But yeah, here we go.
Welcome to the pit, where Transformers go after they die. Of the thousands of Transformers, one individual likes to get killed. A lot. And it is none other than the Autobot leader, Optimus Prime. Join me as we journey into all of the many deaths of Optimus Prime in each continuity. We begin our journey in the Generation 1 cartoon, but not what you think. In the episode War Dawn, we get to take a look at Cybertron's past in the early stages of the war. Back when Optimus was still Orion Pax. In the episode, Orion and Ariel are attacked by Megatron. And when Ariel is destroyed, Orion attempts to attack Megatron but is gunned down and offline.
Holy shit.
If not for Alpha Trion rebuilding him as the leader we all know and love, Orion would have been dead for good. Optimus' death in the 1986 movie was the one most remembered.
Not that.
It was also the one that caused the most controversy. Facing Megatron in one last duel to the death, Optimus appeared as if he would best his enemy. That was until Hot Rod interfered, causing Optimus to drop his weapon and allowing Megatron to fade Little Prime. Though Optimus defeated Megatron in the end, he died surrounded by his friends and family in the tragic and memorable scene during the first half of the movie, and it was hard to believe Optimus was really gone. This was then rubbed in further in a Generation 1 episode Dark Awakening, in which Optimus' body was being mind-controlled by the Quintessons and attempted to steal the Matrix from Rodimus. In the end, the zombie Optimus was destroyed after being exposed to the Matrix and regaining his free will, when he selflessly flew his ship into the Quintessons, destroying both them and himself. This wouldn't be the end of Prime, however, as he came back in the two-part The Return of Optimus Prime when he was repaired by a Quintesson scientist along with Bumblebee. The Japanese sequel to the Generation 1 cartoon, The Headmasters, didn't cut down on the Prime deaths. The first episode contained a recap of the events of the movie, though instead of featuring an epic battle between Optimus and Megatron, it simply had a stray shot offline Optimus. In episode 3, Birth of the Fantastic Double Prime, Optimus sacrificed himself once again to shut down Vector Sigma after it went critical. He fused his own essence to the computer, turning grey just as he did in his movie death. Really, Prime? You just came back. In the horrible English dub of Transformers Victory, Jinrai was called Optimus Prime for some reason, and so after Jinrai was badly damaged during a battle with Deathsaurus, Wheeljack and Deceptor pulled the plug on his life support in order to revive him as Victory Lero. So technically speaking, this isn't Optimus Prime death, but it's still worth including here. In the Kiss Players manga we don't like to talk about, Marissa Fairborn revives Optimus Prime using the Galvatron cell she had within her body. But after the cells were put back into Galvatron, Optimus died again. In the Japanese Transformers Generation 2 manga, Optimus was badly damaged by Megatron's fusion cannon, but thanks to the power of the reconfiguration matrix and burning justice, he was reborn as Laser Rod Optimus Prime and managed to defeat his foe. In the Generation 1 Marvel comic issue After Death, Optimus and Megatron entered the virtual world of Multi-World to compete for a powerful energy source that both sides wanted, deciding that duking it out in a virtual world would be more convenient for both of them. Both Optimus and Megatron had bombs rigged to them, so that the loser of the game would be destroyed in real life. In the game, Optimus and the Protectobots easily bested Megatron with the Combaticons, and even though Megatron used a cheat code to come back to life to defeat Defensor, Optimus still managed to best him. But then, Optimus decided that because he allowed some virtual creatures within the game to die, his victory was ultimately pointless, and so he blew himself up. Not taking into account how damaging his death would be for both characters in the story.
Jesus Christ.
Marvel even received a letter from a mother claiming that her son was distraught over Optimus' deaths, and the impact of the scene would impact the rest of the comic for issues to come.
Yeah.
Of course, Optimus didn't stay dead, but it did take quite a while to bring him back. Optimus' personality was backed up on a floppy disk before his unfortunate death, and so a new Power Master body was able to be built for him so he could return to life. This wasn't the first attempt to revive Prime, however, as a previous attempt blew up. Despite his second chance at life, Prime decided he would need a third, and so sacrificed himself to defeat Unicron in the final battle against the World Eater in On the Edge of Extinction. He was, of course, revived once again in the final issue of the comic in an all-new body once again. In the Marvel Generation 2 comic, Optimus had to sneak into death at the very last minute, and so was devoured by the ferocious swarm in the final issue. He was then brought back 3 pages later with an all-new body. Just got to get that last advertisement in. In the Generation 1 comic, pretty much every moment for Prime was hell. Near the end of the comic, the poor guy was battered and broken by the possessed Fortress Maximus, and then beaten further by a Hot Rod after Optimus was possessed by the Dark Matrix. Though he assisted in defeating the Dark Matrix creature, Optimus eventually succumbed to his injuries, his last moments spent with Hot Rod before he expired. Moving on to Beast Wars now, though the leader of the Maximals was Optimus Primal and not Optimus Prime, Primal still had his fair share of deaths. In the Season 1 finale, Other Voices Part 2, the Vok intended to use their planet buster to destroy Earth. Continuing the tradition of Optimus sacrificing themselves, Optimus Primal flew up in a pod to destroy the machine, but intended to jump out of the pod. Megatron, however, was one step ahead of his foe and sealed Primal within the pod, causing him to be destroyed when the pod made contact. In the Season 2 finale of Beast Wars, Megatron gains access to the original Ark and begins his plan for the extinction of the Maximals by destroying the original Optimus Prime's head, essentially destroying it. Thankfully, the Maximals managed to repair him and stop the Maximals from ever existing. These machines killed off Primal even more times, once in the Season 1 finale, in which both he and Megatron were destroyed when they unleashed their Doomsday devices against each other. Megatron survived as just a Spark, but Primal was sent to the All-Spark. He managed to resist, however, and returned to the Maximals. Then he died again in a final episode of the show, sacrificing himself in the core of Cybertron along with Megatron after spending an entire episode battling his foe.
Yeah, this happens at times.
In the Beast Wars Uprising comic Broken Windshields, it is alluded that both Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal died of old age off screen, as the story takes place far in the future without the two. Back to Optimus Prime now, heading to the early 2000s with Robots in Disguise. In the final episode of the Robots in Disguise cartoon, Optimus and Galvatron go all out on each other, hitting each other with everything they got. Neither one dies, however. That's a first. Well, the writers of the comic Shell game decided that this wouldn't do, and had it so that Mega Zaret killed his Prime and impaled his head on a stick, due to the leader having no backup as most of his forces were abducted by Unicron to fight the Unicron War at the time. No Prime is safe from death, damn it. The Unicron trilogy tended to cut back on the Prime deaths, though the comics like to kill clones of Prime. In the Dreamwave Worlds Collide arc, the Autobots of the Armada universe come across the dead corpse of a Prime from another dimension. And in a Cybertron comic, we get to see a dead Prime being tortured, courtesy of Mega Zaret. Prime only died once in all three shows, in the Armada episode Crisis, where he threw himself in front of Megatron's Hydra Cannon in an attempt to use the Matrix to stop the machine from destroying Earth. He succeeded, but the beam destroyed him, causing him to turn white and crumble to dust. The live-action movies, being super violent and all that, of course couldn't resist the temptation to kill off the beloved leader of the Autobots, and so in the second movie had Prime fighting Megatron, Starscream and Grindor at the same time. And though it appeared that Prime was winning, I mean he did rip off Starscream's arms and beat him with it, and then tore Grindor's head in two, Megatron got the best of his foe and impaled him through the chest before firing a blast that killed Optimus. Of course, later in the movie, Sam managed to use the beautiful smell of the dirty sock to revive Optimus, allowing him to get his revenge on Megatron a movie later.
Lol.
Age of Extinction began with Optimus Prime being essentially dead after taking heavy damage from
Vague.
forces.
He was actually putting a cold.
Until
He was putting
revived by
stasis.
Mark Wahlberg. Finally, in the console version of the first movie game, in the Decepticon campaign ending, Megatron and Optimus fight each other to the death, though this ending is a little different to what you may expect. Megatron came out on top, destroying Prime after bashing his head into the flames. Ouch. Even Transformers Animated hopped into the Prime-killing bandwagon, as in the three-part pilot series for the show, Transform and Roll Out,
Yeah, this happens at times. Like I told you guys.
lost his life after a battle with Starscream. Yes, Starscream, but was revived literally a few seconds later by Sally's Key. This death becomes very questionable when you consider that in the Japanese cool comic manga, Prime fought a devastating battle with Megatron in the final issue. He was decimated by a superpowered blast from Megatron's fusion cannon, and was then stabbed in the chest, but he was totally fine because Japan. Okay then. In the IDW comics, Prime's deaths were more metaphoric, if you will. In the issue Transformation, Orion was shot in the back and everyone thought he was dead. Surprise, he wasn't. But then in Escalation, in a battle with Megatron, Optimus was badly damaged and almost killed. He managed to survive by downloading his consciousness into his combat deck and so lived to tell the tale. In the self-explanatory one-shot Death of Optimus Prime, Optimus relinquishes the name and reverts back to Orion Pax for a while, before he gets bored and goes back to Optimus. Wow, didn't see that coming. In the Aligned continuity, Optimus was blown up along with the Autobot base in the Prime episode Darkest Hour, and lay dying for several days in Smokescreen, eventually coming to the decision that the Matrix had been passed on to the young bot. Smokescreen had another idea, and so built Prime a new body using the Forge of Solus, and Prime was back in action. This was until Predacons Rising, in which at the end of the movie, after fusing with the All-Spark with his own spark, in order to keep it from Megatron, Unicron, Galvatron thingy, he was forced to sacrifice himself to restore life to Cybertron. Of course, he didn't stay dead for very long, lasting about one episode in Robots in Disguise before showing up as a ghost, training in the realm of Primes. He eventually came back to fight Megatronus and stayed alive for the rest of the show, despite the fact that he acted like a crippled old man for most of it. So yeah, Primes died quite a bit, and it doesn't look as if Primes done dying just yet. We'll see him soon, in the pit. Thanks for watching.
Anyway, guys, that was my first reaction, and that was my reaction to Dumbo, the Pit, episode 1 of Optimus Prime. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it, and that's all from me.